1MDB has sparked embezzlement and money laundering investigations across
one of the
at least
biggest
10
corruption
countries.
scandals the world has ever seen.
What may be the biggest financial scam in history.
A number of corrupt 1MDB officials treated this public trust as a personal bank account.
Follow us as we bring you into the courtroom where the biggest financial scandal in Malaysian history is being heard. By the Malaysian Insight, this is the Najib Razak 1MDB trial. The prosecution's 10th witness, Mohd Hazem Abdul Rahman, told the court today that he genuinely believed an agreement with Aabar Investments PJS Ltd was for the purpose of options buyback and not a scheme by businessman Low Taek Jho to siphon funds out of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. Hazem said he was also not aware that Aabar PJS was in fact fake and was an entity incorporated in the British Virgin Islands by the businessman better known as Joe Low. But Hazem in his testimony had repeatedly mentioned he was surrounded by Joe Low's people to the point that he was ashamed for being the CEO of the company and being pulled by the nose. Yet he never did any due diligence and obediently executed any and all instructions conveyed to him. Najib's trial this morning started with his defense lawyer asking for an adjournment to allow the former Prime Minister to attend a Barisan Nasional meeting to select the coalition's choice for Prime Minister. This follows the King's instruction yesterday for lawmakers to submit the name of a Prime Minister candidate by 4 p.m. today after Muhyiddin Yassin's resignation on Monday. Judge Colin Sequeira, while acknowledging that this was a peculiar situation, only allowed the trial to be adjourned until 2:30 p.m., insisting the trial must continue. Shafi started with Hazem's cross-examination by asking him about a $250 million loan facility with Deutsche Bank. According to the agreement with the bank, 1MDB was to pay a 5% upfront fee or $12.5 million for the loan. Shafi called this fee astronomical. I have received some information from one of the directors that no sane person sitting on the board would approve 5% as the upfront fee. Did you bring this to the attention of the directors? Shafi asked. They would have seen it and signed it, Hazem replied, adding that the upfront fee was high due to the fact that the balance sheet of 1MDB was so stretched at the time and there was greater risk for the bank. Next, Shafi asked Hazem about a Director Circular Resolution or DCR, specifically on how they are signed by the directors. Jasmine Liu, 1MDB's general counsel at the time, will go from director to director to obtain their signatures, Hazem told the court. He said that the DCR will be dated once all the directors have signed them. Referring to a DCR dated May 2, 2014, Shafi pointed out that there were 2 different pages of signatures, with each page containing signatures of different directors. He also noted that the signatures of the same directors looked different on the 2 documents, speculating that there might be an element of forgery. You were literally the CEO in the hornet's nest, surrounded by Low Taek Jho's people. You were going to get stung every now and then. Is there a possibility that the documents were switched? The lawyer asked. Technically, yes, Hazem said. I put it to you that this DCR itself has been fabricated, Shafi said. No comment, Hazem answered. Shortly after this exchange between Shafi and Hazem, Judge Colin allowed the court to be adjourned at 10:45 a.m. so that Najib could attend his meeting. When court resumed at 3 p.m., Shafi continued to examine more documents with Hazem. Hazem told the court that the initial agreement with Aabar, dated April 28, 2014, was cancelled out by a later agreement on May 22, 2014. Shafi showed Hazem the April 2014 agreement again, but this time he showed him a copy that came from the Switzerland authorities. The documents had come to the Attorney General of Malaysia at the time, Tommy Thomas, upon his request. Do you see the number at the top right corner of the page and that the number continues to every single page? Shafi asked Hazem. Yes, he replied. These numbers represent the numbering made in Switzerland by the authorities, most probably by the AG's office when they collected the documents and serialized it. But the May agreement, which you say cancels out the initial agreement, does not have the serial number. This is because it was fabricated. The Swiss authorities, after all their investigation, never saw this document. You and your management fabricated this. No, I disagree, Hazem maintained. Under the initial agreement, 1MDB was to transfer $175 million to Aabar within 30 days of the agreement or before May 28, 2014. Shafi proceeded to show Hazem a remittance form which showed that the $175 million was transferred by 1MDB on May 28, 2014 to Aabar's account in Falcon Bank, Lugano. This, the lawyer said, showed that the initial agreement had not been cancelled, as it had adhered to the original terms. Hazem, however, did not agree. Still on the subject of the option agreement, Shafi said Hazem was fully aware that the money was not going to be used for the purchase of the options, but rather he was facilitating Jho Low in the misappropriation of 1MDB funds. At the time you executed the agreement, you knew it was not going to be utilized for the option, Shafi said. No, I disagree. You genuinely believed that the money was going to be used for the option buyback? Yes, Hazem answered. Shafi, however, didn't let up. He accused Hazem of benefiting Jho Low and his co-conspirators by helping sign the agreement with Aabar. He also accused him of providing a fraudulent basis to the bank for the purpose of the transfer of funds. No comment. I disagree, Hazem said. You abused your power because as the CEO, you enabled and facilitated Jho, signed the agreement knowing that it will be used to misappropriate the funds, aided and abetted in criminal breach of trust, and committed money laundering by transferring the funds overseas. You said it is meant for the option buyback, but there was no such thing. The payment was a disguise to benefit someone else, Shafi concluded. Hazem remained calm and composed as the lawyer laid these accusations on him. He maintained his reply of, I disagree, to all of the accusations. With that, Shafi wrapped up the cross-examination for today. He told Judge Sequeira that he has completed 70 out of 200 pages of his cross-examination. He joked that hopefully Hazem's time in the witness dock will not be as long as Hazem's predecessor, Sharul Halmi, who spent close to a year giving his testimony. The trial will resume tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Thank you for listening. This podcast was brought to you by the Malaysian Insight. It was written by Revati Supramaniam. I'm Patrick Teo.